Welcome back to your last budget launch, where we're talking about how to get set up with the zero debt budget spreadsheet. In this video, we're going to talk about what to do if you don't get paid on some kind of regular basis, right? Let's say you get paid really infrequently or at various intervals, right? So maybe you waitress, and whenever you happen to work a shift, you make some money, and then other weeks maybe you don't get a shift. Let's say you work in real estate and some months you sell houses and some months you don't. So things look totally different between your months, right? So in that case, this is the planning page we had originally. I'm going to make some changes to show you how this works. You might not have anything lit up for your calendar if you don't know what you're predicting. Maybe you know like one thing. Maybe you know that you always get a paycheck on the last Friday of the month, and then you also get some commissions somewhere along the way. Let's say that you know that most months you make $5,000 as a minimum. Like, it's very rare that you make less. And some months you make a lot more. But we're going to go with, say, 5,000 is what is typically the lowest you see. So in this case, we are over by $843, and we have to do something about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start cutting things. And what I want you to think about is, if I have a month where I make a really low amount of money, for me, like, it's all relative. These are arbitrary numbers. If you make what's considered a low amount for you, what would you absolutely fund first and what would you cut? So if you're going to be like, okay, we are not going to fund vacation, here's what I'm suggesting you do. Instead of putting the dollar amount here, you can put it in parentheses here. Same thing with this, right? So I would go through and I would say $70 there. And I would take these out. We don't need them checked because there's nothing listed here. Let's check our number. We need $673 taken out. All these things are basically, like, we can't really mess with those. Those are, like, we have to pay those every month. That's what it's going to cost, right? But we could, we're going to take out the gifts from here. This is all the fun stuff, right? So I would go in and I would edit these and add the amounts. Those are actual bills, like car insurance. If you don't save $120 every month, eventually, you're going to run into a problem. We're going to take out the emergency fund money, and we're going to take out the extra to debt if we have to. And let's see, what else could we take out? I mean, ultimately, you can get this all the way down to, you're going to take out a lot of stuff. And so as you do this, okay, now we're only down to 119 to go. Car insurance. So here's what's going to happen. You would put those numbers in parentheses here, and your budget is going to balance. We have $1 left over, so I don't know. We can put that somewhere, right? I don't know. Let's figure it out. Let's put it in groceries. We get an extra $1 of groceries. So this is your plan for if you had a month where you only made $5,000, right? You'd be like, okay, I'm setting minimums to debt, nothing else. We are funding our bills. We have money for trash and the wholesale club. I guess those are important. But we don't have the money even to set aside for car insurance. So, and we don't have anything else, right? Like, that's what it would look like based on this budget and these monthly expenses. That's where the money would need to go. But this is the whole point. You would need to know that, because if you only earn $5,000 in a month and you need to pay these expenses, this tells you where they need to go first. So one way of doing this, I guess you could say, is you could rearrange this. You could do a first, next, last template where instead of monthly bills and expenses, you could list it like that, but you would say pay first. And this section would basically be pay next, but maybe you would move these things to the top and fund them first and just go down the line. What's going to happen then is people are kind of like, well, yeah, but what about the months where I do actually earn more than that? That's not a problem at all. The only thing that's going to change are your targets. Like, you won't have targets set for these things, and that's why I said to put them in parentheses, so that you know when I do have extra money, when I do earn more, here is how much I want to fund per month. So your targets won't light up, and so you won't have that information there if you do it this way. But that's one way of trusting that you built your budget on the lowest amount that you make in a month. And when you get more money, that's like every time you get paid, just once the money clears your account, you just enter a line item here, and you only enter it once it's in your account. So it doesn't matter how often you get paid. It doesn't matter how much you make per paycheck. When you get paid, you enter it and it will show up here. And then you budget those dollars based on what needs money, what's the biggest priority. And then if you have money left over, you put it where your next priorities are, like vacation, right? Now I'm going to take us back over here and back this up. I'm just going to, Control Z, Command Z all the way through here. And what I'm going to tell you is that's one option to do that, or you could just build your budget like this, and you could make a separate copy of this. Remember, you can always go to File, make a copy, and make another copy, and you can do two budgets, right? You can do the version I showed you where we were on 5,000, and you could see, and you could just, if it's 5,000, you could literally delete the categories that you're not going to fund at all, and be like, if I make 5,000 this month, here is what we are funding with that money. And then you could have another version of this, which is the one you truly keep track of. Remember, you're only going to use one of these as your true budget that you're going to enter all your data in, all your transactions. The other one you would just use as a planning page to reference of like, oh, I didn't make very much this month. Now I got to go check, where did I say I wanted that money to go? Because this is all I have. Okay. So that's probably what I would do, because by having this number in here, it tells you, and all of your targets, you know where you want stuff to go. But ultimately, if you don't fund it, that's okay. Like, I absolutely have months where I don't fund things. Like, I'm just like, let's say we didn't have this money up here at the top and stuff just sits empty. That's okay. So a zero-based budget works no matter how often you get paid, no matter if your paychecks are the same amount each time or totally different amounts. I've said this in videos before, but I work in education and we get paid twice monthly from September through June. And our last June paycheck is the equivalent of 5 checks. So you feel like you hit the jackpot that day. But that's all you get paid until you get another paycheck in September. So when I get my last paycheck in June, I get paid at the end of June, and it's a lot of money, and I put it in, and it's a lot of money up here. Basically, I fund the month of, like, if I was starting July, I would fund July, and the rest of it would sit in next month's money. And I might even add another category that month and be like, July's money, August's money, September's money, whatever months are in the future that I'm just going to hold the amount for, because I know that when I get to that month, I'm going to need that money, and I can't just blow through it all at the end of June. So keep that in mind, that if you're paid by commission, the people that I work with oftentimes will do this, where they might make a lot of money one month, and then they want to make sure it's going to last because they don't know how much they'll make the next month. You can make more than one category of like one month's money, second month's money. And if you can fund them out, you'll know that you have enough to cover the future months, even while you fund your categories for this month.